Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shahab. The Iranian parliament has approved the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the United States, it has responded. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, he has spoken about the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. He says that it will be a terrible mistake. The closing Strait of Hormuz will be economic suicide by Iran. Listen in.
Do you expect Iran to move to close the Strait of Hormuz to try to disrupt oil transportation across the world?
Well, I encourage the Chinese government in Beijing to call them about that because they heavily depend on the Straits of Hormuz for their oil. If they do that, it'll be another terrible mistake. It's economic suicide for them if they do it. And we retain options to deal with that. But other countries should be looking at that as well. It would hurt other countries' economies a lot worse than ours. It would be, I think, a massive escalation that would merit a response, not just by us, but from others. So, look, they're going to say what they need to say. You know, these are the things that need to happen for their own internal politics and so forth. But in the end, we're going to judge them by the actions that they take moving forward. We had 3 objectives. We struck those 3 objectives with decisive force. And that was the point of this mission. And that's what we achieved. What happens next will depend on what they do. They want to negotiate. We're ready to negotiate. They want to get cute and do things that are dangerous. We have responses available that are devastating.
Well, the United States launched Operation Midnight Hammer. It was the largest B-2 strike in U.S. history. How did the United States strike Iran in just 25 minutes? The Pentagon has been calling it an overwhelming success. They say that they gave Iran 60 days to make a deal, but they did not respond. As we mentioned, it was the longest B-2 bomber mission since 2001. NDTV's Tony Waterman gets us the details.
The defense secretary gave a great amount of detail in that press briefing earlier on Sunday, including the fact that this mission actually started at midnight on Friday with a group of B-2 stealth bombers leaving a military base in the U.S. state of Missouri and splitting, one acting as a decoy and flying over the Pacific, while the other group went east. That was a group of 7 B-2 bombers, and they made this 18-hour flight to the target areas. Operation Midnight Hammer, as it's been named, involved the use of 75 precision-guided munitions, including 14 of those bunker bombers, the majority of which were dropped over the Fordo enrichment site, which is buried very deep under a mountain. We also learned that a Navy submarine in the Persian Gulf fired off 24 Tomahawk missiles as part of this attack, hitting that Isfahan site. Pete Hegseth says that this total operation lasted 25 minutes. And he says that these B-2 bombers went in and out without the world knowing, that there was no shots fired from the Iranian side. And he also says that the objective of this operation was not about regime change in Iran, but about taking out Iran's nuclear capabilities. There has been a little bit of a wordplay here on whether or not that is exactly what took place. The president, in a national address on Saturday night, said the sites had been completely obliterated, but General Dan Kane, who is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said in this press briefing that there is a battle damage assessment going on, and that the initial assessment is that all 3 of these sites were extremely damaged. But he said that it's too soon to say whether Iran still retains some nuclear capability. We did see these satellite images showing a caravan of lorries at the site in the days ahead of these strikes. So it's feasible that the material has been moved. And in fact, that's exactly what the Iran state broadcaster says, that these sites were in fact emptied when the U.S. attacked. President Trump, though, still apparently wants this unconditional surrender from Iran. He's telling them to make peace, to come back to the negotiating table, or to face far greater attacks in the future. The U.S. has moved a considerable amount of military assets to the region over the past week, so this puts him in a very good position to act quite quickly if he chooses to. The main objective right now is protecting those 40,000 U.S. troops that are stationed in the region, but really a lot of Trump's team on Sunday was making the rounds on the cable shows, trying to play down this escalation that people are afraid of, saying that the United States is not at war with Iran, but at war with its nuclear capabilities. Tony Waterman for NDTV, Washington.
America has bombed 3 nuclear sites of Iran. NDTV is tracking all the details and the extent of damages in Tehran as well. Here's a report by Al Jazeera.
So we have been hearing reaction coming out of Iran. We've also heard from Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. This statement from Iran's Revolutionary Guard seems somewhat muted to some degree. It doesn't say anything specific, although it clearly has a very strong message with regard to the attacks.
Well, Rob, most of the statements today, because we just saw the statement by President Masoud Pezeshkian, who condemned the attack, also said that it's the failure of deterrence within Israel that led them to force the U.S. to be involved. The Iranian strategy will continue to retaliate, and that Israel lacks the independent capabilities or courage to attack without U.S. backing. So this is the president. He also kept his own response within this ambiguous dimension. It applies to the IRGC, as you were saying, and also to Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. The 3 reserved Iran's right to retaliate, response. However, they kept all the cards on the table. And it's clear this is mainly because the body that is to decide on how and what and where to retaliate is the Supreme National Security Council. And of course, after the Supreme National Security Council convenes and decides, then the Supreme Leader should give his okay to that. Till the moment, these measures, at least they're not announced, so we don't know what is going to be the next step. And that's why these bodies, different bodies, are giving responses, but within a kind of an ambiguous sense.
Well, Maxar Technologies has released recent satellite images that were taken post the U.S. attacks on the nuclear facilities in Iran. Some of those images, the extensive damages that has been shown in those images, especially to several of those Iran's nuclear sites, including Isfahan and Natanz. Here's a report. Well, the recent satellite imagery from Maxar Technologies, which were taken on the 22nd of June, that is Sunday, and right after the United States struck those facilities, those nuclear facilities, it shows extensive damage to several of Iran's nuclear sites. There were targeted sites. The United States strikes reportedly dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer. It targeted 3 key Iranian nuclear facilities. Number 1 was the Fordo fuel enrichment plant. It is located deep inside a mountain near Qom. There was Natanz nuclear facility, Iran's largest enrichment complex in Isfahan province. And then the third one was the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center, which is again an important research and production center. If you can take a look at those before and after images firstly from Isfahan. This is a before image of that nuclear facility, and you can see the scale on that satellite imagery. If you can see the after image of what took place, what transpired after the US airstrikes, and you can see a completely different picture here. The entire facility, right, the entire facility is completely gone. It's completely destroyed. These are the high-resolution images from the Isfahan nuclear facility. This is an after image. If you can have the next picture. This is, again, one of the images, one of the satellite images from Isfahan. This is a before image. If you can have the after, the one that was taken on the 22nd of June. This is what it looks like at the moment. The entire picture is completely dark. It's completely black. The entire facility completely destroyed in those airstrikes. Again, this is the before picture of Isfahan nuclear facility. Remember, the part that you can see here, it probably is one of those areas that was targeted by the Israeli airstrikes. But when you look at the after image of Isfahan, this is what it looks like. The entire facility, not just that one, that one structure, but the entire facility completely razed, completely destroyed. Again, It's not just Isfahan. When you take a look at Natanz, and this is a before picture, and I want you to focus exactly somewhere here. This is the area that we would be focusing on. If you can have the next picture. Again, what you can see here is a crater right in the middle of this area. This was not there before. This is what you can see right now. If you can have the next picture of this area, we can enlarge this picture, and this is what it looked like before. You can see the roadways. You can see there is no crater here in this particular picture. You can see the road system, etc. But when you look at the after image, this is what it looks like. This is what it appears on the map. The entire area, you cannot make out whether there was a road here in this particular area. And what you can definitely see is this part where you can see a crater right in the middle of this particular map. In fact, these are all key, structures. There were key facilities that were targeted by the United States, and this might have massive repercussions. How is Iran going to respond further? That is something that we'll have to wait and watch.
There are sirens which have now gone on in Tel Aviv. We are in this bunker. You will keep hearing the sound of the sirens which is coming in. This is where exactly the impact, took place. Those shards of glass that you can see all around. You will see various floors from top to bottom where this kind of damage has taken place. Visuals of these cars which have been absolutely damaged. We are the only Indian, media team which has, in fact, reached this spot. I'm not allowed to, in fact, share the location with you, but I just want to show you that this is another residential, in fact, area just on the outskirts of Tel Aviv, where you will see the damage, extensive damage, which has taken place because of the direct missile hit that this area, in fact, took. These houses just behind me have been severely damaged, and you would see that it seems like this entire colony, a neighborhood of sorts, where houses have completely come down. One portion of this very house has completely crumbled, along with the extensive damage that you see on the others that are behind me. This is a residential neighborhood just from the outskirts of capital Tel Aviv. These are the houses, the residential area which has taken a direct hit of those missiles, and that is why you see extensive damage at this moment. It is being cleared by the security forces as we speak, and the houses, the occupants of these houses were in the safe room, I've been told, when the impact, in fact, took place. Some people have been injured. Here there are cars which are standing on the pavement. The windows, the front shield and the back windscreen, all of them absolutely shattered. These visuals of these cars which have been absolutely damaged, because of the impact that took place here. Both these cars absolutely shattered, probably from the debris which flew in from this impact. You would see both these cars, they're absolutely shattered. Their windscreens completely shattered, and also look at the extensive damage which they have taken from the hit that happened this morning. The other residents, in fact, the impact was so huge. I can see on the other side also some buildings which have sustained damage, some cars which have also been damaged. So it must have been because of the shock waves. This is a cluster of buildings upper middle class locality, Ramat Aviv, where I am at this moment. And the missile, in fact, flew in and penetrated right in the middle of those buildings. So it did not directly hit a building, but it hit in the middle of those cluster. And that's where the security forces, at least at this moment, are not letting anybody go. But the damage has been significant as far as the buildings are concerned. This is one such building in this locality, and you would also see the Israeli flag being hung from one of the broken window there. That's also, as my colleague who's just holding the camera for me, just he said, this is the Israeli resilience on display. And while we were speaking to a lot of people, they have been saying the same thing again and again. This is possibly one of the old age home here, which has been impacted in this entire strike. I can see a few people inside, in fact, trying to collect their belongings as we speak. And all across this area, there are multiple such buildings in this vicinity, which I was earlier showing you from a distance. So this has like 5 to 6 buildings and a shopping complex, just to give you an idea of the landscape. And all those buildings, from the impact, of course, from that loud thud, the boom, have sustained a lot of damage. The window panes have been completely shattered. All those buildings have significant damage, some even the roof caving in. There are some reports of what kind of injuries that people have had at this place. We'll try and speak to a few people, those who were present or at that moment, or at least who came after this, because after the sirens went out, people do run out from these buildings. That another installation, in fact, one other shop, which is here, which has also been broken by the impact. As you can see, some damage which has been sustained to these places. There is glass shattered all around. It's a civilian area near the university where the impact took place. There is glass shattered all around. This lady is also... were you here when the attack took place? Are you injured?
A little bit, yes.
What happened? Got cut by the glass?
Yeah, I cut by the glass. I was cut by the glass.
Flying shards, right? I mean, when
Yeah.
it broke. So, this lady was here when this attack, in fact, took place. And what I will show you, those shards of glass that you can see all around at this moment. So this is one of the areas where the impact has taken place. There are shops around in this area. And we are near the university. And on the other side, you would also see, the work going on as far as the security agencies and heavy earth moving vehicles also there. That's the building where I can also see broken glass all across where we are reporting from, which is now being completely shut off. Area that I was showing you from down below. This gives you, a sense, a vantage point of how the damage has taken place. I will point out to that building that you see. All these 3-4 buildings are all residential buildings. At the top of that building, you would see the entire, roof has collapsed in one of the buildings, and shattered floors on the other. Behind me as well, this is a low-rise building that is just behind me, residential area again, which has taken the impact, the hit here. Many houses that you would see broken. On the other hand, there are rescue operations which are in fact still on, cleanup operation which are still on as we speak. And all across where I can see there are security forces and rescuers, those who are on the ground, ambulances still on standby. The cleanup, in fact, happening. These trucks, as you will see behind me, are taking away all that, in fact, they can pick up from this place. sometimes there are certain visuals that tell their story themselves. That man, his house has been completely lost in this airstrike. All that he could retrieve was those shots that you will see in his hands. That's all that he was able to, in fact, bring out of his house. This was the condition that he went into the shelter in, and when he came out, this is all that he has been, in fact, able to retrieve. This is just in the outskirts of Tel Aviv, where a lot of extensive damage has taken place. Look at this, the belongings of people, those whose house is still partially standing, coming out, all packed in these packets to be taken away. Cars here, one after another, all of them standing, absolutely damaged completely, like that man who is surveying, the one portion of his house here. It just tells you the human, face, the tragedy that people go through in such conflicts. This is the civilian area where this impact of the attack happened just a short while back. Massive security also. I can see, some people, in fact, moving with their baggage possibly to some safer places. But at this moment, this is the situation here in northern Tel Aviv, and where we are reporting from that the civilian areas have been damaged. Now, as soon as the attack happened, and this is how quickly the emergency services have reacted to this. I can see a bank. This is a bank building, and where you see the flag of Israel, the entire glass, it has been shattered there. It's completely broken because of the impact. And right now, the cleaning crew is here. They are trying to clean this entire area up. We are bringing to you this news report right from northern Tel Aviv. And this is the capital city where the impact has, in fact, taken place. Behind me, you can also see the entire cleanup which is going on as we speak. In the heart of the city, here, this is. I'll show you the other shops which have been damaged. As far as this entire strike is concerned, many shops in this mall have been damaged, and this is exactly what we are seeing. If you just keep walking on this block. Back home would be wondering that air raid sirens are out. How are all of you so chirpy and smiley yet?
This is the power of the Israelis. Yes, we used to it because we use bombs falling in us. And yes, we're going outside, we're smiling, we're hugging each other. If you don't know someone, you say good morning, good night. We keep on smiling all the time. Like the Indian people, we're the same.